The Supreme Court limited the First Amendment of what you can say in a speech from the Bethel versus Fraser case. The Supreme Court expanded the First Amendment since schools were saying the prayer before class, which was unconstitutional to people who worship differently, in the Engel versus Vital case. The Supreme Court limited the 14th Amendment in the Plessy versus Ferguson case with the separate but equal accommodations when they were really not equal. The Supreme Court expanded rights on the Fourth Amendment in the Mapp versus Ohio case when an illegal search found Mapp guilty, but was not able to have the case from the evidence found in the illegal search, thus expanding the Fourth Amendment. Citizens are guaranteed equal protection in that if they think they had an unfair trial, they can appeal to another court to see if they get a different ruling. Citizens' rights are protected and upheld in the courtroom and all treated fairly and equally. These cases mean citizens' First Amendment is protected in many ways, but partially limited, as well as the Fourth Amendment, where searches without a warrant can help you in a case if found guilty from illegal search. Today, citizens have well-rounded trials from previous rulings, helping judges' decisions on this day. In the case of Plessy versus Ferguson, it questioned laws that infringed the 14th Amendment. Equal but separate accommodations, and the case did not win since it was separate but equal accommodations. Black and whites had separate but equal transportation and other accommodations from separate facilities, and this used the 14th Amendment.
In the case of Mapp versus Ohio, Dolly Mapp was convicted of possessing obscene materials after admittedly illegal police search of her home for a fugitive. She appealed her conviction on the basis of freedom of expression. The court declared that all evidence obtained by searches and seizures in violation of the Constitution is by the Fourth Amendment inadmissible in a state court. She had the right to not be convicted without the police coming in and obtaining evidence without a specific warrant.
This is the use of the Fourth Amendment.
The case of Marbury v. Madison began March 2, 1801, when an obscure Federalist, William Marbury, was designated as a Justice of the Peace in the District of Columbia. Marbury and several others were appointed to government posts created by Congress in the last days of John Adams' presidency, but they were never finalized. The appointees invoked an act of Congress and sued for their jobs in Supreme Court. However, they were never appointed. They gained the power of judicial review. They used Article 3, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution.
In the court case Bethel versus Fraser, does the First Amendment prevent a school district from disciplining a high school student from a lewd speech at a high school assembly? The court ruled it was appropriate to prohibit the use of foul language, and Fraser will be found guilty. The freedom of speech in assembly is limited to what you can say, meaning no foul language, and it uses the First Amendment.
In the case of Tinker versus Des Moines, Tinker's siblings wore armbands that were in protest of the Vietnam War. The schools told them to take it off. If they didn't, it led to them being suspended. The court ruled armbands as a form of freedom to protest. They did not disrupt class, leading to students winning. Students still have the rights under a school zone that cannot be violated unless it causes a disruption. This case was a clear use of the First Amendment of the Constitution.
In the court case Engel versus Vital, does the reading of a prayer at the start of the school day break the First Amendment? And with a yes, that does break the First Amendment. Also, New York officially approved it, so it was the first Supreme Court case to eliminate all religious activities, freedom of religion, so you can choose what you want to worship and not have to follow with the prayer in the morning. That does not go with the religion of your choice. That just gains you a freedom, not limiting it. This goes from the